What's up everyone, my name is Jasper and in this video I wanted to discuss the differences between building multiple smaller websites or focusing all your attention on one very large website. Ever since November I've been really focusing on building a plan and a sort of structure around my business to grow it as large as it can possibly be. And eventually, of course, I came across the question if I should focus my attention on one very large website or if I should go for multiple smaller websites. And I do really think there are both drawbacks and benefits to both approaches, and I don't think there's either a right or wrong, but there's definitely something that's more suitable for a certain type of person. So in this video I will be taking you with me in my thought process on why I decided to build multiple websites instead of focusing on one very large website. So if you've been following my channel, you know that I recently made a video on my plans on how I'm trying to scale to $50,000 a month. And this plan really included me building multiple websites instead of just one. And there really are a few things that push me over the edge to actually go after multiple sites instead of just one very large one. And the most obvious, of course, is the fact that with just one website, you're very susceptible to updates. Me personally, I built a website a little over 2.5 years ago, and this really was my only website, and I was trying to build it out as large as it possibly can be. And in December, there was a core update, which basically just took away 80 to 85% of my traffic. And with an 80% drop in traffic comes an 80% drop in revenue. And if this is your only website, like it was in my case, then you don't only just lose your traffic, you also lose all your income. And I was in a pretty bad spot actually, because I wasn't really receiving any money anymore. So with just one simple update overnight, I lost about 80% of my income. And with just this one website, I didn't really have anything else that made up for that. So I just basically lost all of my income in one night. And that's already the main reason for me to build multiple websites. It's just to diversify. Diversification is extremely important in my opinion, and I don't want to rely on one single source of income. Another problem that you could run into with just one big website is the fact that eventually you can run out of things to write about. There's only a finite number of topics you can write about, and in some niches this can be multiple tens of thousands of articles. But even with a large website that you've been running for, let's say, 5 or 10 years, eventually there could be some point where it's getting difficult to find underserved topics or topics that you want to write about. Now, of course, this could be remedied by many things. You could always update and improve old content, which is definitely recommended. And in many cases, your niche gets new product, new information, new techniques that you could always cover when they come out. So this really isn't the major issue, and every niche has lots of things to write about, so running out of topics isn't something that will happen in the beginning or in the middle stages, but after a few years I think that it could become difficult to find more topics to write about that will actually bring in the money. Because you have to remember that when you're building a very large website, chances are that you've got some writers on this one website and that you're investing money in that website. And when you're getting to the point that you're really just scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of topics to write about, you could come to a point where hiring writers is no longer profitable for your business. On the other hand though, building one large website also has a lot of benefits. The very first one that I always see is you can build a very large authoritative website. So you can become one of the big names in your niche, and this really has a lot of benefits to it. Not only will your domain get a higher domain authority, so you'll be ranking much faster, but you'll become a brand name in the space. So people know and actually recognize the name of your niche site. And another thing is that with one very large website, you can just really hit it big. Just look at John Dykstra. He has made one website that's doing over $100,000 every month, and it's just incredible to see what numbers you can push one website to. Of course, John also has a few more websites, but none really come close to his very main $100,000 a month website. And alongside these larger websites also get a lot more page views, and with a lot more page views come a lot more monetization options. You can build an email list, and if you only have a 1% conversion of 1 million page views every month, you can build a very large email list. Of course, email lists also work for smaller sites, don't get me wrong. But with a larger website, you can really just scale this up to much higher proportions. Of course, you also have the option to create a YouTube channel or other social medias around this one website because your brand name is getting some recognition. And you could even produce info products. So there's a lot more options. Not that these options don't work for a smaller website, but I think they're a much better option for a very large and established website. On the other hand, producing multiple websites also has its benefits and drawbacks. The very first benefit that I see, and the main reason why I'm going after multiple websites, is that you're diversified. In my case, I had my main English beauty site, and if I had, let's say, 2 or 3 more websites of similar caliber, then the impact that the December core update had on my one website wouldn't have hit me as hard as it had done this time. And the great thing about having multiple websites is that you just have multiple income streams. So if one falls off, you still have a few more that are backing up the losses of this one other website that just fell off. And it just makes for a much safer business model, in my opinion, because you're just not relying on one big website. The same is really true for a normal business, because if you are always relying on one customer that basically pays around 80 or 90% of all the revenue, if he goes away, you're basically just screwed at that point, because if he's gone, then basically all of your revenue is gone. And if all of your revenue is gone, chances are you can no longer run the business like you used to. So being more diversified definitely has a lot of benefits to it, and it makes me sleep much better at night to know that I have, say, 5 websites all producing $2,000 a month instead of one website that does $10,000 a month. But with diversification comes a problem though, because with just one website, you can focus fully 100% on this one project. And you can even build a team around this one project that all know the subject and all know the niche, and you can just create an oiled machine. But if you have several different projects going on, you need to spread your attention. So you can't just fully focus 100% on this one side, because you'll leave out the others. And you can't leave out the others, because if you leave them out, they won't grow to the potential. So this leads to spread attention, and you also can't really hire one team, because this one team has to know all about these several different topics. And it just becomes a little bit more challenging. Now, of course, you can always just build a smaller team of people around the many different websites you're creating, which is my plan. But it seems a little bit more difficult than just creating one large team that are all focusing on the same thing. Another thing with creating multiple websites is that some will inevitably fail. With one very large website, of course, there is the chance that you hit it out of the park like John Dijkstra and you create a website that does over $100,000 a month. But even if you just go to 10 or 20 or 30,000 a month, you're still having an amazing asset and an amazing income producing website. But if you're focusing on multiple websites, chances are these websites will turn out to be a little bit smaller than you can produce when you're focusing on only one website. And with this spread attention and smaller number of articles on every website, there will of course be some websites that just fail. They don't get to the numbers that you expect, and these just are not really working out. Now, I personally have made a plan to build several websites, and I personally just expect that about 10 to maybe 20% of the websites I'm producing just won't meet the expectations I'm setting. And at that point, it's basically just a matter of selling the site off or just writing it off as a failure. But on the other hand, when you have several websites, there's always a higher chance of several more of them hitting it big. So it's really just all weighing off against each other. And that's why I said in the beginning that this is basically just a personal matter. Some of my favorite examples of people that are building several websites and building a portfolio are of course Income School, but also Moss and April. Now, I'll leave the 2 websites of these people in the description below, and these 2 are basically my main source of inspiration. They are really just taking the whole concept of building websites and expanding upon it and building an actual business. So Ann Moss is doing around $50,000 a month right now, and she's doing an amazing job. And April is a little bit smaller, but still doing an incredible job. Both are way ahead of me. And they both have a blog where they're sharing their progress and some extra tips. Now, I mentioned before that this really is a personal matter. I personally would sleep much better at night knowing that I have several websites that are all producing income rather than just one very large income stream. Now, obviously my decision making is a little bit swayed because the December core update, it's really taking a toll on me, and it really just hit extremely hard, not only on the site but also on a personal level. But I do think that even if I didn't get hit as hard or not at all, I would still gravitate towards building multiple websites. I'm just a big fan of having multiple streams of income. That's why blogging isn't the only thing I'm doing. But even working inside this blogging space, I'm still trying to diversify as much as possible. And I do know that some of the sites maybe just won't hit their full potential, But that's fine with me. I don't really mind it too much. I do still think that I want to give it my all and build these out as large as they can possibly be, but I'm realistic and I know that I can't build every single website out to its full potential. And if you've watched my $50,000 a month plan video, then you know that I do plan on doubling down on the websites that work, obviously. And when I'm at that point, these sites will basically get the same treatment as one large website would. They are getting preferential treatment and they will get most of the articles, and the articles that left within the budget, those will be divided amongst the other websites. And I do have to say that, of course, for a beginner, someone that's just starting out, just go with a one website route. And I think it's just really important to stick to one website, just so you can see how the process is, what's required of you, what you have to do, what it takes to scale up, how you can monetize, how you can get traffic. It's just a very big learning experience. And I personally always say that go for a second website once your first website meets your own requirements. And your own requirements could really be anything. I personally had my own requirements set at that my main site should be earning $3,000 a month. And I reached that point, and that's when I was starting to plan a new website, and thus the English consumption website was born. And right now I'm in the mindset of building a new website once the one I just started reaches 100 articles. So it's basically just a personal thing for you. What works best for you? Are you happy with making $200 a month and then switching over to a new project and building the both of them up? Or do you really just want one more established website and then go after another? I don't really think there's a right or wrong, and it just basically comes down to your personal preference. For me though, it's going to be building multiple websites. I just think that it's a much safer approach for someone that's a little more conservative, because relying on just one stream of income can be quite scary at times. So what are your plans? Are you planning on building out multiple websites, or are you planning to focus all your attention in this one very large website? I'm really excited to hear, and I would love to know what your plans are in the comments. So that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.